I had plans to do things in the greenhouse today, but my Rhipsalis caught my attention and they said, no, I think we're gonna steal your time today. So as you can see here, I have various Rhipsalis, which are a type of epiphytic jungle cacti, and they are in bloom. So unlike philodendron blooms, which open in the middle of the night, they open at night because they are pollinated by beetles, which are nocturnal and are out at night. Rhipsalis are pollinated by bees, sometimes hummingbirds, and so those creatures are diurnal, which means they're awake during the day. And so naturally, because bees are out and the Rhipsalis want to be pollinated, their blooms are open during the day. So I figured, why not try to cross-pollinate and hybridize? And let's make a new Rhipsalis. So the process is pretty simple. Flowers consist of, so flowers are a sexual organ of the plant, and they consist of a male and a female part. And so what we need to do is we need to take the anther and stamen, which consists of the male parts, and take the tips that have the pollen grains on it and dab them on the inside of the female part, the pistil, and take it and dab it into the female part of the stigma so that the pollen can enter the style, which is the tube, and travel down and reach the ovary that has the eggs inside, which then would pollinate the flower. If it's successful, the flower will die back and then a fruit will develop, and inside the fruit would be seeds. And then those seeds, once germinated, would potentially form a brand new Rhipsalis. I'm going to try a couple different things. This is Rhipsalis ewaldiana. This is Rhipsalis elliptica. And so let's get started and let's see what we do. So I'm going to start with ewaldiana pollen. And we're going to do ewaldiana crossed with this Rhipsalis. I think would look pretty cool. This one has terete, which is the term for thin phylloclades, which you may call them leaves, but they're not actually leaves. They are phylloclades, modified stems. For more information, check out the podcast we just recorded on epiphytic jungle cacti. And we're going to take this and we're going to boop, 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 boop. And it's so cool up close. You can see the pollen flecks just popping off. Since we have the term is floriferous, where flowers are abundant. And so since these Rhipsalis are floriferous, I am going to just continually take more anthers and get as much fresh pollen as possible. I'm going to double do it just to make sure. All right, this one's done. When I was attempting to pollinate the Sansevieria the other night, the inflorescence of a Sansevieria has like 80 flowers on it, and so it's just monotonous work, but for the idea that we could potentially be creating a brand new thing, it's worth it. All right. Because this is not a completely controlled setting, there's wind through the greenhouse, air movement, everything like that, it is possible that some of the pollen from the Rhipsalis itself was to get on the stigma of its own flower and it pollinates itself instead of it being a hybrid. It's possible that it happens, but really all we would have to do is grow the plants out, and then once you see that new plant that has germinated, you'll be able to tell whether it was a hybrid or whether it's exactly like its parent. Because I mean, this normal compared with these crossed, you'd be able to tell the difference. Okay, so you're witnessing trial and error here, okay? So what I want to do is, because these flowers are so small, I want to mark the location where that flower bud came out so that I know if a berry starts to develop, that berry that is developing is the specific one that I attempted the hybridization with. So what I'm doing is I'm going to use clear twist tie, and I'm going to twist it so it's next to the flower and pointing out of the location of where that flower is. And We'll see. Okay, so I was just telling you about how you were witnessing me trying, and after 5 twist ties later, I realized it's a waste of a twist tie, and it is labor intensive, and it was damaging the phylloclade some. So instead, I'm going to use a permanent marker and mark where they were. Yes, it may look ugly on the plant, but I mean, this is a mama plant, you know? She may get stretch marks, it's okay. She's bringing life into the world. Okay, so now I have just 3 down here. Instead of having all of them be hybridized with just these 2 types, I decided for the other 3, let's try someone else. So this is Rhipsalis pilocarpa, super hairy. So like, right? Could you imagine? We're taking pollen, and we're gonna do we're gonna do these 3. All right, and I'm going to mark these 3 with a P. Because the flower's closed, it's harder to grab just the male pollen. There we go. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this Rhipsalis and put its pollen on this Rhipsalis ewaldiana. So a reverse cross to try to, you know, increase our chances. And then I'm going to take this Rhipsalis and put its pollen on this Rhipsalis pilocarpa. So again, flip of those. And then this Rhipsalis here, I am going to also take the pollen from this Rhipsalis and put it here. And let's make a bunch of weird flat log, skinny, who knows? Like, it's so exciting. All right, so I actually went and looked and I found 2 more Rhipsalis that were in bloom. This is Rhipsalis mesembryanthemoides, and this is Rhipsalis teres variety heteroclade. And so I went ahead and took this Rhipsalis pollen here and pollinated these flowers. So I'm gonna go ahead and mark with the Sharpie all the locations, and really exciting. It's so cool that I'm able to basically do this real time with you guys, and you guys are here firsthand and you get to see the very beginning of something really cool being created, and I love bringing that to you, so stay tuned. What do you think these Rhipsalis hybrids could look like? Let us know in the comments below.